Alrighty, morning everyone. So, Christmas is over. That's kind of sad. But hey, we are gonna do some more scrapping, or in this case, we are gonna do some scrap knowledge accumulation in this video. So, yeah, I'm gonna show you what kinds of wire I buy, what kind of price I buy them for, what kind of price you should buy them for if you want to make at least like a decent amount of money. The amount of money you can make with wire that you buy is obviously limited, but there's still quite a few things that you have to look out for. There's quite a few things you might want to know, quite a few things that are kind of interesting maybe to some people. And so yeah, we're going to go through all of that today. I'm going to show you all the little kinds of wires that I buy, for what kind of price I buy them for, what I do with them, how much I sell them for, and so on and so forth. Basically, everything you can possibly imagine when it comes to copper wire and scrapping that. So yeah, we're going to do that today. I've brought a lot of little samples of wire, and we are going to get right into the first one. And so, yeah, let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, so we've got all the different kinds of wires on this table now that I buy, and we are going to now talk about what they are, what price I buy them for, what I do with them, if I scrap them or sell them, and what price I get if I just sell them as is, versus what I get when I scrap them out. So, yeah. Let's go ahead and just start with the first one, which is probably the worst one. This is this kind of wire. I think this is the stuff that they call coax in the US. It's the stuff that's not really worth anything. It's got, if you can look at that, it's mostly plastic. It's got like a copper sleeve around another plastic core, and then there's a little tiny copper core in the middle of it. It's really hard to tell because it's just like there's not a lot of copper in those. That doesn't matter though, because I still get the same price for that stuff as I get for like normal extension cord wire. So I buy that for the same price that I also pay for stuff like, say, extension cords, which we're going to talk about next. But yeah, so I can sell that for the same price, and so I'm buying it for the same price, which would be, well, approximately, I'm trying to figure that out in like pounds and dollars. So I would say I would probably pay approximately 50 cents a pound for that stuff, because I only get 70 cents a pound, maybe 80 cents a pound. And so I need to make like a little bit of profit. So I generally buy that stuff for around 50 cents a pound. Is it worth to strip that down, to scrap it? Absolutely not. You're gonna get maybe half of that, maybe even less out of that wire. It's really worthless stuff. So technically, you should only get like maybe 30 to 40 cents a pound, because that's really what it's worth. That's the amount of copper you could get out of it. But as I said, my yard doesn't care. They just take it as normal extension cord wire. So I'm not complaining about that. I asked them about that stuff, and they just say, yeah, throw it into wire. And I was like, well, that's good as well, I guess. Nice, thank you. So yeah, you just have to try it out. If your yard takes that as extension cord wire, great. But I doubt it, because my yard is really like the only yard I've ever heard of that does that, which is nice, because it saves me a lot of hassle with dealing with that stuff. But you also have to take into consideration my prices aren't really that good. So yeah, you gotta have something good, right? So yeah, at least I get a good price for that stuff. However, let's now continue with something that is actually does have decent value, and that would be stuff like this, for example. Probably every one of you knows this stuff. This is like your usual extension cord, household, whatever kind of wire. It's usually got 3 cores, and then it's got like a thicker PVC coating or rubber coating, whatever, over that. And the problem with this stuff is not the wire that's inside it. The wire that's inside of that stuff is actually pretty decent to strip. You could make a decent amount of money stripping that. However, outer layer is really only realistically gonna be stripped off with a wire stripper. And if you don't have a good wire stripper, I would not do that. I just wouldn't do it, because this stuff is actually right on the edge of just being worth it to sell it. Because the amount of work that you have to put in to get a better value, to get the value of copper, which is only 33%. I forgot to say that actually for the last one, it's about 10 to 15% of copper. In that, with extension cords, it's about 33, so about 1/3. And it's really not worth it to strip that down. You know, like I would probably get, as I said, like 75, 80 cents a pound, something like that at my yard. And so I pay about maybe 50, 55, maybe even like only 45, depends on how the price is that specific day. But that's what I would pay for that, and that's also what the yard is going to give me, like about 75 to 80 cents a pound. So this would be something that I would actually not strip. I would just sell that as is. Why would I do that? Well, as I said, it's not really worth it. You're gonna get a bit more value, but like it's really so little more. It might make like $10 difference for like every 100 kilos you strip. So this is really not worth it. And that comes from me, because I usually say that basically everything's worth doing. This is really not. At least if you get a really bad price for your extension cords, of course, then it's worth doing. But you know, like for a decent price, it's not worth it. So I wouldn't do that. The next kind of wire that we are going to talk about, is something that I would consider doing. That kind of depends on the price you get. Let me explain what I mean by that, because it's this kind of wire. You see, that is very thick. That is thick stuff, and it's got 3 solid cores inside it, but it's got also like PVC and also kind of all kinds of other little thingies in there. That stuff got around about 40% copper. Seems a bit weird because it looks the same as this, it's just a bit bigger. Yes, definitely that is true. However, this is solid core, and solid core usually has a higher percentage of copper than not solid core, because obviously if you have all kinds of little strands in there, there's going to be air gaps in between them, and so the same size wire is obviously going to be less percentage-wise with the multiple strand cores. So yeah, that's that. But this stuff, oftentimes yards only buy that as extension cords because it, matter of fact, looks the same. At least my yard does that. So if your yard does that, I would highly consider stripping that. First of all, because it's actually worth it. Second of all, because this is actually very easy to strip. You can do that with a knife, and you can do it efficiently with a knife because it's solid core. Solid core is so easy to strip that you can get up to the speed of a wire stripper with just a knife. That is very hard to do with multiple strand cores. I'm going to do a tutorial again on that as well, I think, because it's important to know how that really works. I already did a video where I stripped small wire, but I messed it up, you know, in that video. I completely did it wrong. I don't know why I really did it that way, but I guess I did it, so yeah, whatever. But I think I'm going to do another tutorial for that. But solid core wire, so easy. Like, you legit have to just take a knife, put it on the wire, pull the wire through. That's it. And it's stripped. You know, you can't really get stuck on this stuff with a decently sharp knife. So yeah, that is something that I would definitely strip if you're not getting any better price than extension cords. For that, if you're getting a better price, I wouldn't bother. You know, again, this is not very high percentage wire, so I wouldn't really bother. As far as what I'm paying for that goes, ranges between 55 and 60 cents. It's not a whole lot more than extension cords because, well, it doesn't have a lot more value, but I can get a decent bit more value out of it. So yeah, that's what I would say I'm usually paying 60 cents for that. If the copper price is decently low, then maybe only 55 cents a pound, but that's usually not the case. So that's all very nice. So that's this done. The next thing is similar but different. So, you know, this is obviously pretty thick wire. You can see that, and it's got 5 very thick solid cores in it. However, it does not actually have that much more copper percentage-wise in it than the one that we just talked about. Why is that a thing? Well, if you look at it again, there is one not copper core inside of that is actually just plastic. So yeah, that's kind of like a bummer, but it is what it is. That would be approximately like 43-44%, not quite 45, but it's a decent amount. You know, it's a good bit better than this, but not like terribly much. I would usually pay maybe like 65 cents, maybe 70 cents for that, for a pound. So yeah, maybe even 75, just kind of depends. And so that is definitely decent wire. and you can definitely make good money stripping that down. I would always strip that down because that's really worth it. If you're getting a good price, of course, at your yard, it all depends. Yeah. So this is all just stuff that depends on the price that you're getting at your yard. But for my prices that I get at my yard, I'm stripping that. So yeah, if you want to do that, go ahead and do that because that's definitely worth it. So the next kind, again, very similar but different. This is about the thickest stuff that I get in this region, and this is about 45, 46, maybe 47%. It kind of depends on the wire, because obviously wires always have well, not always, but can have different brands, and depending on the brand, it might have like 1 or 2% less or more copper. Whatever, that doesn't really matter. This stuff, I would say you should start to strip that down. Why? Well, again, it's very easy to strip that down. And usually yards don't pay that much more for that kind of copper than they pay for like extension cord. Why? Because at the end of the day, that is just a very thick extension cord. However, the percentage of copper goes up with the solid core and with also the diameter of the actual copper little piping things in there. So I would usually strip that down. Yeah. And it doesn't really matter what kind of price you get at your yard, because it's not going to be that good, you know. It's not going to be so great that you would not make a decent amount of money, you know, just stripping it down instead of selling it to them. I would probably pay 80 to 90 cents a pound for that, because that's really just very easy stuff to strip down. Very, very good. So now we are getting into the very serious stuff. This is the kind of stuff where you would actually start making really good money if you were getting that for a really good price. Why is that a thing? Because this stuff is the easiest stuff to strip down, like that is out there. So we are gonna start with this kind of wire. This is actually just multiple strand core, whatever you want to call that, copper wire. However, you can see it is decently thick. You know, that is decently heavy gauge wire. I've had a whole spool of that. I stripped it all down and melted it into these pretty little copper bars here. But this stuff is 100% always worth it to strip it, because your yard isn't paying enough for that. It really doesn't matter what your yard is paying for that. I've never seen a yard that actually pays enough for that to make it not worthwhile stripping it down. So this stuff has approximately 80% of copper in there. It's not quite 90, we're gonna get to that, but it's definitely 80. So this stuff pretty much always worth stripping that down. I would pay approximately, let's see, depends. It always depends on the prices, so I have to remember what the copper price actually was today. But I would say that I could realistically pay about $3.50 for that. Yeah, I think that's pretty realistic. That would be like €3 and 22-30 cents. I would definitely pay that for that. So that is definitely a price that I could pay for this stuff. And now you might think to yourself, well, why aren't you paying that much for this stuff? Because it's 2 steps. I have to cut this outer insulation first, and then I have to strip all the little cores inside of it. It just takes more than twice as long than doing this stuff. So that's why I have to pay a bit less for that. But that is all just negotiation, you know. If the other person that I'm doing business with doesn't want that price, you know, we can always do a little bit of it. But at some point, you know, you just have to say, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. For example, I just had a customer that wanted, like, I think it was like $2.50, so like €2.20 for like just extension cord wire, where I was like, yeah, mate, that's not going to happen. And that's obviously not for a pound, that was for a kilo. Oh yeah, actually, I'm sorry, I just told you the kilo price for this stuff. So that would be approximately $1.70 a kilo for that. But like, he wanted like $1 and like what, 25 cents a pound for extension cords. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm not losing money bringing that to the scrapyard. Like, that's not gonna happen, mate. You then just go there and take it there yourself. Yeah, whatever. But this wire definitely always worth stripping. As I said, I would pay approximately $1.70 a pound for that. Maybe a bit more, actually, maybe up to $2 a pound. And so, yeah, that would definitely be something I would pay for that. That's definitely worth it. And this is always worth stripping. I would never try selling that to a scrapyard. You're never going to get a good value for that. So, yeah, I would definitely always strip that. Always. It doesn't matter how much time it really takes you. It's always going to be worth it. So, yeah, some people say, oh, well, I'm just going to say that, tell that as number one. Why? Yeah, no, don't do that. Don't do that. That would be, no. Please just don't. That is just wasted money. So, yeah, don't do that. However, there's quite a bit more that we need to talk about. And we are going to just continue with solid core wire. Yeah, this kind of stuff, that is the exact same stuff that is inside of this here. And when you take that out, it actually becomes approximately 82, maybe 83% copper wire. Because obviously it's solid core. We talked about that. Solid core is obviously always a bit heavier than the multiple strand core, whatever. And that stuff I would pay a bit more for, maybe like to a maximum of like $2.10, maybe $2.15 a pound. Kind of depends on the copper price that is there at the moment. So yeah, that is definitely something that I would buy for that price. What you would get at a scrapyard is probably about the same. However, I'm not selling it to a scrapyard. I'm stripping that down, obviously, and then I'm making maybe like 25 to 30% profit on that. Obviously not calculating in the time that it takes me to do that. And it would take you the same time to do that. So yeah, that's about what you should do. Strip that. Don't sell that, strip it. Always strip that stuff. Please, do me one favor. If you take one thing out of this video, if you get stuff like this, just strip it. Don't sell it. And if you have to shove it into a corner for like 2 years and strip it then, I don't care. Just don't sell it. It's just such a waste of money, and it's so easy money. So if you take one thing away from this video, please let it be that. So yeah, we'll just continue with the next bigger size, which is this size. This is multiple strand wire. However, you can see this is really like this high voltage. This side is very corroded, but this is really like this high voltage, very solid copper wire. It's got multiple strands, but it's almost solid core. And this would be more than 85% copper in there. It's not quite 90, but it's definitely 85, and I would probably pay $2.20 to 25 cents for that. This is not going up a lot because it's obviously it stays around the same copper percentage. It goes up a little bit, but yeah, not really that much. What it does though is this is actually getting way heavier, obviously, as thick as wires get thicker. So yeah, this actually your profit is adding up way more quickly. So yeah, that's what I would pay for that. Your scrapyard is, by the way, just gonna pay you the same for all of that. So yeah, as you go up this list, it actually gets worse and worse and worse to sell it to the scrapyard. But I mean, probably every one of you watching this channel knows that selling this stuff to a scrapyard is not the smartest thing that one can do. And it's obviously also out of focus. There you go. No, it is not. So yeah, this is like beautiful Millbury copper. Please don't sell that to a scrapyard. I don't know why people would even consider that, but apparently that's the thing. And so, for the grand finale, we've got our last size of copper wire. And this is 90% plus. Why do I call it 90% plus? Because this comes in way more thick strands than this. I'm gonna quickly show you that. Like this stuff, this is absolutely beautiful. I love to get stuff like this, obviously. It's just the most beautiful copper ever that comes out of there. Obviously, all the copper that comes out of this kind of wire is like 99% pure. I think it's actually purer than that, but whatever. It doesn't really matter now. This stuff, very good stuff. It's so easy to strip. You can actually get to the speed of a wire stripper with just a knife. And it's just great. I mean, there's just nothing really better than getting this stuff for copper recycling. What do I pay for that? Up to $2.50, maybe $2.60 cents a pound. So yeah, that would be about my maximum what I could pay for that, because I still have to make a profit, and I don't get that much for that stuff. I don't really get a lot different prices from burnt to mulberry copper anyways. I think I get like €6 a kilo for my burnt copper, which would be like what? Oh man, all this math, like $3.20 a pound, maybe, hopefully. I don't know. I hope that's about it. And I maybe get like $3.50 to $3.60 cents a pound for mulberry. So it's not that big of a difference. At least for me. I know it's a big difference at other places in the world, but like here, it's just not. So that's what I pay for that, and that's a very, very good value for me, and I think also a good value for the customer. The customer would obviously make way more money stripping that down, but you have to also take into consideration most of my customers are big electricians. They make most of their money with, well, electrical work, and stripping that wire down wouldn't actually make them more money than doing their job. So you just kind of have to figure that part out for yourself. But so yeah, that would be my different grades of copper wire, how I buy them, for what price I buy them, for what price I sell them, what I would just sell, what I would strip, and also on. There's a lot more to talk about when it comes to copper wire. I just wanted to quickly make this video. Maybe someone's interested in it. I've just seen that many people don't really care too much about the grades, but I really think that you should, because it can actually make you some decent amount of money. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly make this video. I hope it helps someone. I hope you found it maybe helpful in some way. That would make me really happy. It would also make me really happy if you could write anything that you might want to still know, or just want to say hi in the comments below. I gladly gonna answer that, you know that. So yeah, also please rate the video, give it either like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you might feel like doing. And also, yeah, please subscribe to the channel so that we can continue growing and stuff. That's all good, I think. So yeah, please do that as well. I would be very happy about that. And yeah, so wishing you a happy New Year's and stuff like that. There's probably gonna be another video before the 1st of January, but yeah, whatever. I'm just doing it now anyways. Yeah, so thank you very, very much for watching, and until next time.